the options?
Not good.
Yeah. Well, I thought the fastest one was Nina. I was surrounded by three, and I decided to run the triple option. And looking at my options, I pitched it to Nina to go score with it. Well, good afternoon. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And, this is a unique week always. It's more unique when it's the last game of the year, but always a unique week. It's a good week because we spend a lot of time together as a team. We'll have a Thanksgiving meal together. There'll be other meals that we'll eat together because they're out of school. A little more time than you normally get with players. Just mentioning these seniors, we've got a unique group. We have some transfers in this group that we're certainly going to celebrate that have really just been awesome people and fit into our program well. We have a couple of guys from other sports, baseball and lacrosse to name, that are celebrating a senior season as a football player. And that's fun as well. And then you have the guys that have been in the program that have contributed so much as leaders and players and people. And just looking at how many grad students are in this and guys that are graduating in December, and then a few that are going to graduate in May, you are excited for them. You're sad. As long as I've been in college football, it's a sad time for a coach to say goodbye to anybody that's been a part of your life every day for so many years. But you also are excited to know some have got jobs, and we got guys that are, in New York or in different locations, and so a lot to celebrate to that. Now, to get into the football game part of it, we got a huge challenge. Miami is an extremely talented team at every position. Speed, size, strength. They have it. And so obviously we feel like we've got to play our best game. We all know our problems and the things we haven't done. You focus on what you've done well, and you build on what you've done well. You build confidence in that manner, and also you are obviously looking at the things on that the biggest issues. We got to give up as few explosive plays to an explosive team as you can, and we got to continue and finish drives and score. Everybody says how. Well, that takes a high level of play. It takes a high level of play in a consistent manner, and that's what the practice week is about. Nobody is cashing things in. Don't think that for 1 second. We've already had one practice, and it was motivated and enthusiastic and intense. We'll practice tomorrow morning, and then we get a little bit of an advantage with no school. They get a little bit of sleep needed this time of year. We'll practice in the afternoon on Wednesday and Friday. Thursday, we will practice in the morning so we can go as a team and celebrate a Thanksgiving feast for a lunch together. So that's our week, a big football challenge, but it's a week that we're going to cherish, not wish away. And, I'm excited to see how our guys respond to this last challenge. We can't do anything about what's behind us. We've got one in front of us, and that's where our focus is right now.
What's your assessment of your quarterback situation right now? Riley played pretty well.
Yeah. I think there's no question you'll see, if not two, but three. And, there'll be some form of rotation and, opportunities to try to be different to some degree, which can certainly help us. It's early in the week, as you know, right now, so that's not as clear and concise, but as it could be as the week goes on. But certainly there's no question that you'll see Gunner and you're going to see Riley, and then Jordan obviously does some special things himself. So we're going to try to use every talent that we have on this team to try to beat an extremely talented team. And we may have to pick and choose how and when to use those talents, but we've got to do that.
Dallas, we were talking last week about getting Mateo more involved in the offense. He still only had 13 carries. As a layman, it's hard for me to see it being a good football team unless Mateo gets a lot more
Well,
touches.
as a layman, you don't see what people are doing to the line of scrimmage. And so when they put a lot of people at the line of scrimmage, you can't just keep running into people. You know, you have 5 or 6 blockers and they put 7 or 8. They're making you make decisions to either run the quarterback some because you gain a blocker or throw the football. He is always a part of our plan, and but you can't dictate to them what they are doing.
And are there not counters to that?
To run the ball?
No, if they do something to take Mateo.
That's why you see the quarterback running and why we're throwing the football. That's what I just said.
Yeah.
There were some, we talked about tackling all year. There were some missed tackles on some of Cunningham's runs there. I know you're teaching them to tackle. What do you talk about?
We got to do a better job of teaching them to tackle, and they have to do a better job of being fierce as a tackler. You can't. So I'm tackling you. If I stop here and you're a great athlete, what are the chances that I'm going to be able to even put a hand on you or just get an arm tackle? You have to have confidence to close and tackle with speed. And, you know, that's just one of the issues. But it's hard. It's not impossible. Like I said, we got the robot. We got different things. But it's hard to do a lot of live tackling in practice, particularly this late in the season. But you have to have more and more quality work, and then the players have to commit to that quality work, understand how important it is. And so it's the same basic thing and message I'm carrying to the defensive staff and the defensive team. The only way we're going to get better at tackling is be more aggressive tackling, not less aggressive, not cautious. You can't fear missing a tackle and be a good tackler, if that makes sense. And I think sometimes when it gets in your head, you become more cautious. You got to pull the trigger. You know, it's like a check swing in baseball. 1 out of every 90, you may get a bloop single. You can't check swing tackling, if that makes sense. You may trip them, but we have to do that better, particularly against this team.
Coach, given the COVID season last year, the struggles on the field the last couple of years, I'm curious just for you personally, how hard is it to keep that fire and wanting to continue coaching after being in the game so long and going through all this stuff on and off the field?
That's what everybody's speculating. I got more. I don't know if I look worn out or look all that bad, but I got a lot of fire in me. I'm a young football coach. And, you know, I love doing what I'm doing. Has this been fun? No. Has it been rewarding? Yes, because you find out more about yourself during these times. Here are the tests. And, you know, I've had to fight adversity all my life, and you don't run from it. I mean, you just get better. It pays, you know. I'm a firm believer in Galatians 6:9. Don't grow weary of doing good, for at a proper time you will reap a great harvest. And, you know, I'm not going to back down from that mentality. And so I appreciate the question. I do, because you get reports this, and I don't read anything, but I get prospects and people saying, hey, is this true? Is this true? You know, and, you know, I'll speak to that when I want to speak to that, and make no mistake about that. But I want to invite anybody that wants to keep up with me to try to keep up with me. Come on. Dave Harding, bring it on. Wire to wire. So.
Dave just had lunch.
And thank you for asking that.
Recently been running the gauntlet of talented, experienced quarterbacks. You're going up against a very talented quarterback this week in Van Dyke, but not an experienced quarterback. Does that present some opportunities for you to maybe do a better job of scheming and confusing him as a freshman?
Yeah, I mean, there's anytime you take a guy that has less experience, you hope you can put him into at least minimally thinking. The more you think, just like I was talking about tackling, when a quarterback's thinking, he's not playing. You got to play that position on time. And so, yes, it always does, and you can't depend upon disguise. It's got to be change-ups and disguise, but it also comes with effective, good play. He's got some talented, experienced receivers and a tight end, and, he has just done a tremendous job of creating explosive plays because he's got a big arm and he's got an accurate arm. But, yeah, it's going to take a little bit of all of it to have a chance to have some success.
In the spirit of Thanksgiving and, of course, TV, just what are you thankful for this week?
Well, I'm always thankful for my family, which is getting bigger and bigger when you have grandchildren. But I'm thankful for all the people, the collective group of people that are Duke football and Duke athletics and Duke University. I mean, I would suspect people would imagine that in 14 years, how many people, pulled it at your heart so strongly here. And we got incredible people. The relationships, I'm going to always be thankful for. It's kind of like, that's life, isn't it? It's strong relationships, whether it's family and friends and others that make a good life. We were just talking about the movie, It's a Wonderful Life. And that may be the perfect example. Everything was falling apart for old Jimmy Stewart. If you've never watched it, I suggest you watch it in the holidays. And then he realized because of the people that he loved so much, he was the richest man in town. So it's a great lesson, and it's one in our family that you're required to watch every Christmas. I don't know what I would do to any of them that didn't, but I don't have to find that out. They all love it. But it's kind of what I'm thankful for year-round, not just now.
The defensive schemes that you guys have run here have worked, obviously, in the past, and right now they're not. Is there any thought of, changes might be possible because...
Yeah, I've got my toolkit out just to answer that question. We kind of got the screwdriver and hammer and quite a few things. You got to look at it. I mean, you got to look at some things, and had a lot of long meetings with those guys. And I came in really early Sunday morning before church, and it was good because it's quiet, nobody in the building, and started looking at all the different ways that Miami's been successful and what are the different ways that can be contested. And you got to look at every bit of it. Just like Jim said, you got to quarterback, make him think a little bit, and you got to tackle better, like you said, but you also have to put people in the best positions we can be in to have success, and that goes into scheme. So a lot of thought going into that all week.
Maybe 2 years ago, Duke finished the season Thanksgiving weekend at home against Miami, came into the game on a downward slide and responded by playing one of the best games of the season. A lot of these guys that are redshirt juniors and seniors now played in that game. Is that something, are you talking about that? Are they talking about it? Is that something you can use them, show them as an example of how you can finish strong?
Well, I've heard some of them mention it. They're well aware of it and well aware we were in a tough slide there. You're always, when you're in this circumstance, everybody looks for hope and belief, and I think that's fine. I mean, I wouldn't discourage that. They know, too, though, this is a different Miami team and completely different Duke team. But it's what you do, when you try to rally from a difficult time. It takes everybody. And they remember that was all in. And that's what you're looking for this week, is all in, everybody.
Obviously, winning the game is your primary goal, but is anybody talking about Mateo being as close to the single-season rushing record? Is that a secondary or tertiary?
Well, I'm well aware of it, and the coaches are well aware of it, and it's always, an individual record is always secondary to trying to win the football game. We would all love that for a youngster that's had a special year. I think he'd have already broken it if he hadn't have been as banged up as he's been over the last few weeks, which is another reason we've lowered the number of carries. But let's hope we win and that happens. Wouldn't that be fun? That would not cure everything, but it certainly would make you feel better headed into the off season.
Which of some of the younger and more inexperienced guys have you been impressed with in terms of the ones that have been getting those late game reps?
Well, we've got a number, and it's hard to just single out players. It's unfair to other players, particularly when, you have seen it all year long. But our first and second year players, whether it's been in the kicking game or whether it's been on offense and defense, as a group have been impressive. You see guys that are making tackles way down the field in the kicking game. You see guys making plays all over the field. And, you feel like guys have been there a while, but, some of these young people are second-year players. You think Jalen Stinson's been around for forever, but he hasn't, So what I would tell you about those two classes, it's probably the fastest two classes. We've got a lot of speed. Another one you don't think about being a second-year player is Graham Barton, who has started as a year as a center, now started as a left tackle. Wow, and he's played really well. So they're all in and growing, and what you pray for them is that all of the adversity and the difficulties that they've gone through sharpens them beyond the game field. It sharpens them in their desire to get better in the off season, the desire to have the kind of team that you have to have that's all in. All of those things collectively can come out of adversity and make it a special run for these first and second year players. Of course, we got third, fourth year players back as well. But I'm excited about that class overall. But I just hesitant to pick any individual out at this time. But you can go through the stat sheet and see how many of them, and then Gary Smith's a defensive lineman that has started for us as a second. You forget Dwayne's a third-year guy. I mean, I forget. Hadn't he been around here forever? But it's interesting. Depending upon how you count it, he's basically a redshirt freshman because he was on the 2020 team that was given an extra year of eligibility. You ought to try to count in your roster. It's hard.
Right?
Do what?
Holmberg could be.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who's what. When I say, okay, seniors stand up, it's interesting the way they view it sometimes.
Pretty good amount of Jordan Gunner and Riley. I wanted to ask a little bit about Luca Diamont and the way you've seen him progressing this year.
Yeah, Luca has had a terrific fall. And, I don't have to ask him. He and I have met and we've talked. I'm sure there's a level of anxiety involved with not being in the mix. But his spirit and his attitude is phenomenal. But I'm not going to reveal the things that I think he's got to do a lot better to be successful. But he is a tremendous young man. He's got everything that you would want in that character makeup, that fierce competitor makeup. It's just some things as a quarterback he's got to do more consistently to get into the mix. But very, very special young man and a really good athlete. All right. Thank you all very much. Happy Thanksgiving. I thought you told me you weren't going to be here. Okay. How much money you taking with you to Vegas? I want to know. I want to know the count going in and the count coming back.
Steve's not going to tell us anything that happens.
That's right.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You know what? You're not going with any guys that look like any of those guys from The Hangover, are you?
Right, no.
Stay out of Mike Tyson's house,
Right.
whatever you do.